society to make it better. Marx would not have said, this is what you need to do to make socialism or to make Marxism be a thing in the world. That's not, he wouldn't have said that because that wasn't the goal of what he was laying out. The goal of what he was laying out was a critique and an analysis of classical political economy under a capitalist mode of production. And all I'm saying is that I think that many of the statements made by that analytic methodology are accurate.
Okay, so I need like a concrete example. So let's say
I would say the tendency of the rate of profit to fall. I think the fact that many, not necessarily all or most, but many, even neoclassical political economists have recognized this and have tried to explain it away, shows that the tendency of the rate of profit to fall is a thing that happens in the world, and that the neoclassicals are just trying to find a way to explain it away to protect the status quo.
it's false. Like I have this study, I literally just closed them.
Yeah, but there's studies on it, but I would have to read them. Like, I don't know what they say.
So, which one? Tendency of rate of profit to fall. From time to time, research units of banks and government departments procedure studies the rates of profitability in various sectors of industry. 88, for example, Pale S. Anderson, profit shares, investment, now bankers. There's a bunch of, just a list of things. The National Statistics Office of Britain now releases company profitability statistics every quarter showing increasing profits.
So you're saying that because corporate profits are going up, therefore the tendency of the rate of profit to fall is false?
Sort of. So this study is specifically analyzing that principle. This was just on the first empirical tests of the labor theory of value. Tendency of the rate of profit to fall. It's just the wiki of the tendency of rate of profit to fall. This was studies done specifically on this to see if it was the case, and they found contradicting results.
I would say, I think, if you're talking about the wiki, because I have looked at the Wikipedia page on that. I mean, everybody's looked at the Wikipedia page on everything anyway. Obviously, I'm being facetious, but
everyone's seen every Wikipedia of everything.
Yeah, I've read every Wikipedia page on everything ever. But I guess what I would say is that I think what they're trying to do, because Marx was quite careful here. He said that the tendency of the rate of profit to fall is not a law. It doesn't occur universally across the board. There are ways that a capitalist can mitigate that problem. It's a tendency, not a law. It's just that, yeah, a capitalist might be able to mitigate it for 6, 8, 10, 12 years, but again,
300 years.
The profit is, well, I would think there's numerous points in history we explicitly see. I think that's what's happening now. I think that's part of the reason we're seeing the inflation that we're seeing is because corporations are artificially inflating prices to combat the fact that people aren't purchasing as much products, and their ability to generate a profit on those products quarter over quarter, year over year, whatever, is trending downward. So what are they going to do? They're going to try to find ways to mitigate that, because obviously the profit incentive is maybe not the only, but certainly one of the primary incentives for operation under a capitalist mode of production. They're gonna, if it were true, I just want you to bear with me here. If it were true that the tendency to generate profit year over year goes down, don't you think that capitalists would probably try to find ways to mitigate that if they could?
Sure, obviously.
Do you think that they would be reasonably successful in potentially mitigating that problem?
Mitigating the problem, yes, but that just means decreasing the rate at which it goes down, so it would go down slower. But
or
they're like reversing the problem.
Then goes back down.
Right.
You can reverse the process, but only temporarily.
But yes, but you can't reverse the process like tens and tens of 28 times over, just keep reversing the process for hundreds of years and have it still work. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, I agree. I think that's largely the reason why societally we're facing many of the problems that we are.
Well, that's literally just the past. Like the entire past 300 years of just every capitalist country has been nothing but the opposite of that.
I guess in virtue of what?
Economic growth, technological growth, machine growth, worker growth, even though wages are stagnant. And
you don't think public funding had anything to do with any of that?
Sure it did. What is?
I would argue that public funding probably had more to do with a lot of technological developments, the internet, rocketry, nuclear energy. Well, but when you're investing public funds, there isn't really a need to make a profit. So if not necessarily all, I can just grant that it isn't all, but a lot of our technological development for the result of public funding, then there isn't any profit to be made, so it can't drop. There isn't a rate of profit at all there.
But it's growing. That's the point. So it's growing. The rate of profit is growing.
Profitability and the rate of profit are not the same thing.
Sure.
So profitability can go up, but the rate of profit can still be trending downward
Same
over
or go up.
the long run.
Would still
So,
go up too, yes.
well, yeah, I think that it has gone up because capitalists attempt to mitigate this problem, inflating prices, things like outsourcing jobs, cutting back on ways of reducing things like variable capital
What does
and
mitigate?
whatnot.
What is mitigate?
Reduce the effects of or temporarily negate the effects of some
Right.
problem.
So if it's going up, that's not mitigation. That's magnification.
It could be. I mean, if it's going up, but it was going down before and then it goes down after, you wouldn't call the in between more probably just a mitigation of a problem?
At some point, yeah, over small periods of time, if it goes up over just like a quick shoot and then just crashes or something, yeah, that would be a great example of mitigation. If it consistently goes up for hundreds of years, you can't call that a mitigation. That's just.
I don't think profits have increased over hundreds of years. I think that there's been, well, I guess over the long run, I think that you could say that they have, but I think that that's been a rise and then a fall, and then a rise and then a fall. Because
Well,
of
I'd
that,
say it like any graph, there's ups and downs.
yeah.
Trend is what's important. What is the trend?
Well, but the thing is that I guess under the labor theory, we're not really looking at like trends per se. What's being analyzed here is what happens when capitalists seek profits. They end up losing the ability to generate profits, mitigate those problems, or potentially invest in other industries. Their ability to make a profit goes back up, but then that either stagnates and levels out, or it usually begins to dry. I think that there's examples of this in history. I would argue that the 1929 economic collapse was a result of this. The 2008 economic collapse. I would argue that this is what causes economic bubbles. Profit seeking resulting in an oversaturation of commodities in a market such that people just stop buying them and you're not selling anything. What's going to happen? You're not going to make any money. The bubble's going to burst and the ability to generate profit and value are just going to plummet. That's actually exactly what happened in 2008 when the housing bubble burst.
No, it's because people overbought houses. They kept buying houses more.
Why did they overbuy houses?
Because they were given loans. Everyone was given a loan.
Yeah, exactly. Why do you think that the banks did that? Do you think that they were trying to increase the rate of profit on the loans that they were giving out, knowing that if they gave out more loans and gave more lucrative loans to people, they would be able to generate more profit off of people taking those loans?
Loopholes because they were giving them to people who couldn't pay the loans, and that's what caused the bubble.
Yeah, but why do you think they were doing that? Why were they giving loans to people that they couldn't afford them? Do you think
they
it had
weren't?
to do with
The
trying to make money?
The banks weren't. The intermediaries were. The intermediaries were making profit off of it, and then breaking the law and giving to people who literally didn't qualify because
What
they were
intermediaries? The banks aren't the intermediaries.
No. There's like people who can sell loans to people and sell houses to people as a
They do that through
intermediary.
banks. Yeah, but they do that through banks too, financial institutions.
But again, it's not the banks. There is a group of people who
But
were
the money
illegally
comes from
offering,
the bank.
yes, illegally because they
So
were
if
illegally giving
money's lost, the
information.
bank is losing money.
Again, so this was not the bank giving out money. This was people illegally offering certain rates to people who couldn't qualify for those rates. And because of that, which the banks didn't know about, banks were not at fault here. That seemed like good loans to the banks when they weren't. And so the banks paid them out because it seemed like good loans when they weren't. So it wasn't, banks weren't the primary cause there. There's a bunch of legal.
I don't know who these intermediaries would be if they weren't themselves
Watch The Big
financial
Short.
institutions. I don't watch movies to get my economic information.
They have lots of great paper reference in there, so it's just fine. So, I think one of the greatest critiques of Marx was from Karl Popper. I like him. And good philosopher guy. He said historical materialism was a very scientific theory, made predictions. The predictions were proven false, and then a bunch of ad hoc nonsense get added in to try and make it unfalsifiable. It was a falsified theory. That's kind of what I think we're seeing. So, because of the ambiguity of Marxism, it says the rate of profit will fall except when it doesn't. Except when the capitalists they avoid it. They use evading tactics to make.
Well, unironically, yes, the capitalist will find ways to mitigate his loss of profits. I honestly, teacher, I think you would agree with that. If it were the case that the capitalists were losing profits, which is granted that doesn't actually happen in the real world. If it were to happen, you really don't think a capitalist?
Well, no. The point here is your principle. If the capitalists were not doing anything to mitigate it, the profits were just going up. Your principle would say, oh, they're just mitigating. You don't have a way to differentiate whether it's actually working or whether or not you think
Actually,
it's ad
we
hoc
do.
principle. Oh, you do.
Yes, if profits were going up, but we could see that capitalists aren't, doing anything to adjust value or um differences, ratios between constant and variable capital, because that's ultimately where the tendency of the rate of profit fall comes from. The capitalist is trying to reduce the amount of variable capital necessary to the production of goods, because that's under the labor theory of value where value is rooted in. It's rooted in the variable capital. But if the value of a product is rooted in variable capital and variable capital is going down, then the value of the product is also going to drop. So what you would see is that over long periods of time, you're going to see this. You're just going to see these consistent dips in the rate of profit, and then attempts by the capitalists to mitigate that result in, that are the result
The
of things
question
like
was,
outsourcing jobs, reducing wages, reducing
go back.
benefits,
The question was, how do
price
you,
gouging.
hold on. The question was, is how do you differentiate whether it's actually going up and you're just making stuff up to try to make your model versus it's really going down and you're saying capitalists are doing funny
Whether it
things
fits
with
with a Marxist framework. If profits were going up, but capitalists weren't like necessarily doing anything to mitigate that, like we know what kinds of practices capitalists engage in when they try to mitigate a loss of profits. I've already named some. They outsource jobs, they reduce wages, they reduce hours, they lobby for lower tax rates, they do all of these things to increase the amount of
Sure.
profit that the company develops.
Yeah.
So if they were developing profit, but none of those things were happening, then we would say, oh, well, then yeah, the tendency of the rate of profit fall is false. But I don't think there's a place where you can show me this where they're not also lobbying for tax breaks, where they're not
Bitcoin?
also outsourcing jobs. All of
Bitcoin.
what's happening with Bitcoin right now?
Yes, it's
It's
going down, but
crashing, isn't it?
wait,
Why
they
is
didn't,
that happening?
wait. They didn't do any of the things you listed, and they made a shit ton of
Also,
profits.
Bitcoin isn't rooted in labor, so it doesn't really have value under the labor theory of value. So I don't see why it
Yes,
would
but
even be
its
relevant.
value increased, so it has
Yeah,
no
but it doesn't
value.
have value to the labor. So under your definition of value, it might have value.
Yes.
But then you're just not using the labor theory of value
Yes,
definition.
because the labor
And
theory
then you're
value is
not.
wrong.
How does the labor theory of value define value?
The amount of work required in a society to produce some good or something like this.
Yeah. So how much work do you need to do to make one Bitcoin?
Press a button on the
What are
keyboard?
you doing? Yeah. So you're not actually really doing it. You're not like taking some natural resource and turning it into a product, are you?
Yes, correct.
So then you're not adding value.
From your theory, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're going to criticize the labor theory, hold on. If you're going to criticize the labor theory of value, you should probably do that by using its definition of value.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is that definition of value is wrong because there's other
Why?
kinds of value. There's other
Well,
kinds of
there
value.
being other kinds of value, there's other versions of how life evolved. That doesn't mean evolution is false because there's other ways to describe it, like creationism, which doesn't really describe it, but I think you get the point.
No, don't get the point.
Okay, so there being other ways to define value doesn't mean some particular way of defining it must be wrong.
No. So going back to, remember you said labor theory of value states that the rate of profit is going to fall necessarily. But if there's other ways to
No, not necessarily. It's a tendency, not a law.
Like, it has to over time fall, I think it's the conclusion. Like,
Over long periods of time, we will see dips in the rate of profit, yes. And that will be a result of the oversaturation of commodities in a market and thereby a decrease in their value.
Can it go up indefinitely? Does it
No,
have to go-
absolutely
right,
not.
So the labor theory of value says it has to fall at some point. Right? It has to
Well, it's going to, yes. Not that it has to, it's
But
just
if
that
there's
it will.
other ways of generating value, which will stop that from happening, then it won't fall.
Yeah, I guess, but that would just depend on what you meant by value. I don't think that you would be using value there the same way that an LTV would be using it.
Well, obviously, because they only count value as the labor thing. And I'm saying, well, that's not the only kind of value. So the thing that we use to assess the labor theory of value is the products are being made by people, which is fine. And the rates of profit fall can be inflated by the other things that labor theory of value doesn't call value. Their value, in every other economic sense, in every other economy around the world says these other things are valuable too, and they raise the profits. You go up from these other things, and so this dip that we're seeing in labor theory of value just doesn't happen because it doesn't incorporate these other things that are actually really valuable.
What do you mean by valuable? Because a Marxist would say that there might be things that are valuable, but don't contain value because there's no socially necessary labor requisite to their direct production.
Well, so example, like using Bitcoin as a means to transfer wealth or to bypass securities and governments or to evade taxes. Like there are lots of values to this system that people use it for to make lots of money and do things which that can then be translated into real work. Even though the creation of Bitcoin is pressing a button, so labor theory value has zero value, it actually does that zero value actually can then be translated into real work value outside of it, which is a mathematical problem in the theory of value. Because when you count this as it becomes zero. And so, since this system can produce something that can translate into real work, but it's not accounted for in the labor theory of value, it's a gigantic weakness in the theory.
What about Bitcoin can be translated into physical labor performed by a laborer, like in a plant or a manufacturer?
Well, like if I can use it to evade taxes, that's work I've done, that money I'm getting. That
I don't think you haven't taken a physical natural resource and turned it into a useful tool. That's what labor is, though, to LTV.
You say like I do work and I get paid money.
Labor.
So I do. Let's say I don't know, take berries or something, and some percent of that is taxed. And if I can use Bitcoin to avoid that taxes, that work that I've done can be. I can use Bitcoin to save more of the work I've done.
Well, what you would be doing is using Bitcoin as a way of capturing more of the surplus value that would be the difference, the excess value between what you're paid and what you actually generate in terms of what you do. So if you pick berries and you're paid, say, $20 an hour, but in that same hour that you earn $20, you pick $100 worth of berries, that $80 is the excess, the surplus value. If you use Bitcoin to avoid tax loopholes to make let's say that in an hour you're actually earning $26, all you've done is just reduce the excess value between what you produce and what you earn. But I'm not understanding that fits in the LTV. I guess I'm a little confused here.
If it's generating value, but you say it has no value, that doesn't fit. It's a contradiction.
What do you take value to be?
What do I take value to be?
In an economic sense, I should specify.
Anything that makes people's lives easier.
Yeah, that just wouldn't be what value is to somebody in the labor. I'm not even necessarily saying that what you said is like wrong, but that's just not.
I know. But my whole argument here is that the labor theory value, the Marxist system, is stupid, and it doesn't really account for value. It doesn't really account for economics.
But it gives a very specified definition of value.
I know it does, but I think it's stupid. I think mine's better.
Well, in virtue of what?
It doesn't account for the things I mentioned. Like my definition of value is anything that makes people's lives easier. I think that's a better definition of value, a better way to assess economic.
Why is it better?
It accounts for more things that seem to have value.
Wait, what's the thing that it accounts for that LTV doesn't?
Bitcoin.
LTV can account for Bitcoin. There's just no value in it because there isn't any socially necessary labor required to produce it. So let me give an example. So let's take a pair of like the Gucci jeans that you've probably seen a picture of. They're like all ripped up in the front. That like, at least we're like, I'm from a farmer would look at that and go, that is the most useless thing. Why would I spend $400 on a pair of already ripped up jeans? What? So that has a price. It's $400 if I remember from the meme. Like, anyway, let's just say it's $400. Yeah, so that has a price, but there really isn't any like use value to that to the farmer. But nobody's going to say that there wasn't labor expended to produce that product. So it might not have a value in terms of a use to you, but that isn't to say, at least under the labor theory of value, that it has no value. So there can be things that have value but no use in the LTV that can be accounted for, and there can be things that have use but have no value in the LTV that can be accounted for. The idea that the LTV doesn't account for things because of the description or the definition of value that it uses, I just don't think is a defensible objection.
Okay, let's go back to like what do you think are the advantages of this model? What do you think it does better than?
And it provides an accurate analytic method, or an accurate analysis of the development of human society and the reasons why it seems that our ability to develop into the future is being restricted. I would argue that is being restricted as a result of the mode of production under which we live, and that the way that it is structured and what it's incentivized to do The productive forces.
What productive forces are being restricted?
So just to give some examples, I think that there's absolutely no reason why humans couldn't be utilizing largely nuclear energy to power everything. The reason that's not being done is because there's no incentive to transition to that by the capitalists who own all of the capital and the resources that would be requisite to a transition, because they can already make billions of dollars just continuing to do what they do. So they have no incentive to continue to advance the technologies that we have, implement them in society to make our societies more efficient and more sustainable. That's just one example.
Well, it's false. The reason nuclear isn't adopted is because people are afraid of it and they vote it out.
I disagree. That any Marxist would disagree, because the development of society isn't rooted in ideas. That was the primary criticism that Marx had with Hegel, is that idealism doesn't work. We have to be realists about this. It isn't whether things accord or disaccord with our ideas that drive society forward. It's the antagonism between the classes as a result of the restriction of the development of the productive forces.
Okay, well, that's very, very easy to disprove. Religion. You're an atheist, right? We're both atheists. We don't believe in God, sky daddies, but God.
What's this one?
This one is
Winning systems of the world?
different alpha.
All right, let's take some time out to get educated. Some maps. Let's do some maps. I was on a Christmas call with my family, and my wife pointed out that my daughter got a really good mark in geology. And one of my relatives goes, "Oh, that's great." He's clearly stoned. He goes, "That's great, man. What if you love geology? So, what kind of places do you want to visit? What's your what kind of countries are you excited by?" That's geography. She said geology. Anyway, most metal bands are in Northern Europe. I think we knew that, right? Look at the total lack of metal bands in America. It's as yellow as Australia. Maybe metal's dead, and judging by that rap song we had last week, where not the guitarist for Exodus, but the guitarist for Testament, or maybe I got those backwards, was doing a rap song about COVID. So if that doesn't denote the end of metal, nothing does. What's next? More fun maps coming up. Let's get fun. So this is most popular sports in the world. Hockey is, of course, huge in Canada. Although we've got it over here. What's that, like Finland or some shit? Norway? And I thought baseball would be bigger in America, but you've got like barely any in New York, and then a smattering around, where's that? South Carolina and Missouri. I guess they have Kansas Cities there. Kansas itself. And then California and Arizona. Oh, weird. Baseball's big down here? What's that? Brazil? Argentina? That's Chile. That's Brazil. What is that shithole? And then, of course, Dominican Republic and all that. Huh. And then everywhere else is soccer, although they call it football here. Why is that? Because when the English miners were out ransacking the world, I don't consider it ransacking, but you get the idea. On their breaks, they play soccer. And the locals would see them playing this game, this cheap, affordable, portable game, and it caught on. So the reason you have soccer so huge here, and of course in not Europe, but all of these places is British miners will be playing it on their breaks. The reason you have it so big in Russia is because it's cheap. Oh, shit. Losers. Next. What's this one now?
Fertility
7 to 8
rates.
children?
Fertility rates across the world.
Look at that. We should be very concerned about this. 2 to 3 children. 2 to 3 children is just stasis. But you know what they don't tell you about 2 to 3 children here is they're all Mexicans. They're all immigrants. If you were to take immigration out of America, the population would be going brrr, which I thought was good, according to Bill Gates and Thanos. Russians aren't breeding. Basically, white people are not breeding. And all the breeders seem to be in, that's Africa, right? Yeah. They all seem to be in Africa. Look at this setup. Sheesh. Next. Are we learning here together? UFO sightings. This map's dumb. Of course, it's just population density. The more people there are, the more you're going to see people saying they saw a UFO. Boring. I don't believe in UFOs, by the way. This one's boring. Biggest name brands and various things. Drunk driving. Most common food stops for drunk drivers. McDonald's. A lot of McDonald's drunk drivers here. Waffle House down here. Where's that now? That's Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama. Southerners like their fucking Waffle House. And then we have Taco Bell everywhere. Look at all that Taco Bell. It's not even particularly Mexican areas. And Ryan, they have permission from their wives to go to Taco Bell.
I now do also.
Whoa!
Yes.
Look at you!
That's right.
Standing up for yourself. You heard it here first, folks. Ryan's allowed to go to Taco Bell now.
That's correct.
Nice. What else can we learn about Earth and America? What's this one?
This one is
Winning systems of the world?
different alphabet sizes.
Oh, look at these. I wish I had better eyes. Because look how shit some of these are. Look at that fucking... Look at that crap. Cherokee. No one uses Cherokee. Some of these languages, though, look at this scribble. And this, and this. I think Ethiopian is the dumbest language in the world. But as I've said before, you need a paintbrush for all of these. And then this one is the dumbest one. You draw each thing. What's the word for man on a boat? Oh, you draw a boat and you draw a little guy on it. Oh. So if your language has 300,000 words, you have 300,000 symbols? Yeah, basically. Japanese isn't so bad, I guess. Korean's good because they rewrote it from scratch. And then there's all this dumb... Look how primitive everyone else is with their dumb, scribbly cave languages. Fucking losers. The West is the best. Keep going. Butthole's going through people first. What's this one?
Countries that have McDonald's.
Countries that have McDonald's. Okay. Good to know. Africa's not big on McDonald's, unfortunately. But everywhere else is. Besides, what are those middle places? Oh, I don't have the world map. What's this one?
I got the world map.
No, I don't know what those countries are. The Middle East? Oh, I guess it's seen as Western? Okay, that's enough. I want to get to happiness. Autosave project, okay.
Happens time to time. This is... Oh,
That's McDonald's.
okay.
Okay. Isn't it?
This is happiness.
No, it's not.
Emotional tendencies.
Okay, so less emotional, 36. What the fuck does this mean? More emotional. So we're very emotional here. And this is funny because that's what China always says about us. They go, Americans are sentimental morons. They're always crying about shit. And then these people, everyone who cared about anything is dead. So they're all just bored with the world. I'm actually surprised that China has so much emotion. India sort of gives a shit, but we all care. The West cares. The East doesn't have emotions. And Africa doesn't.
Now we have dog states
Don't care.
versus cat. Okay. United States.
Don't
of
care.
America. What food does your state
I
hate?
care. What does New York hate? It's New York over there.
Ranch on pizza, untrue. I love ranch on pizza.
Oh, it's untrue because you like it?
Yep.
All right. It's not correct. Pesto is big there? What the fuck is that? Ohio, they love pesto.
They hate pesto.
Oh, they hate pesto, right. Cottage cheese? What do they hate in the South? Chipotle? Tuna salad? They hate licorice in Florida. I like that in Texas they hate They hate veggie burgers and steak cooked too well.
Don't fuck with
Too
the
well
beef.
done, overcooked. They hate Chick-fil-A in California. That's got to be a political thing. They hate fast food in Oregon. Pumpkin spice anything. Dim sum is unpopular in Idaho. Unpopular. And they fucking hate shellfish. Kansas. What the fuck? Tapas. Tapas annoys me. I agree with you, North Dakota. It's like, little snacks when you're drinking. I don't know why. It would be like someone, if I was fucking my wife and someone just came over and sort of smoothed my butt cheek with a hand. Like, I'm sure that feels nice, but get out of here. I don't want that. And what's the Alaska one? Voss water? Is that Rich Voss's own water company?
Yeah, it gets you. It keeps you hydrated.
Next. Most commonly spoken language other than English or Spanish. This kind of inspired this whole green screen because people don't realize how German America was. It got to a point there when in the initial days of this country where they weren't sure whether we should make English or German the national language. Before World War II, everyone loved Germany. Look at all this. Look at all this fucking German. There's plenty of towns in the Midwest where they speak it in the main language. You'll see German signs everywhere. What the fuck is that?
There's an enclave of Germans in Texas that still speak German, and they are they held on to their roots.
What if they have a weird accent? Like Quebecois is a weird 400-year-old French.
Well, das ist wie wir gestern Abend.
I did grow up speaking German, and I spoke only German until I started school.
I went up to them and I asked, where are you from and what are you doing here? And they looked at me in disbelief and they said, what do you mean? We've always been here and we speak Texas German and we're fifth generation Texas Germans. And that was the first time that I not only heard Texas German spoken, but that I also knew that it existed.
Ja, jedes Mal dasselbe. Ja, gut.
My
It
first
sounds like German to me, but I guess it's Texas German.
Yeah, I wonder if it has a southern accent. I
Like
like
a
to talk
twang.
about German about Texas German. Or even you talk to like a Mexican about Puerto Rican, and they go, it's a weird fucking slurry version of Spanish where they don't really enunciate.
Yeah, we take away S's.
I think it's sort of like the Glaswegian of Spanish, where Glaswegian's like, see what you doing out here, man? You gonna be here on Friday, baby?
Yeah,
Like all one big blob of vowels.
yeah. That's pretty accurate.
All right, next. Here on the Learning Tree, most popular TV shows. I was surprised to see Happy Days is so big in Wisconsin. Fuck, that's Wisconsin way up there. What are some others? What does New York got? Oh, Seinfeld, of course. Boring. Can you zoom in on this map?
Sure.
The Office is Pennsylvania. That makes sense. It takes place in Scranton. What's this say? Homeland. Weird. Homeland in Virginia, huh?
Well, Homeland is a very military type of thing, right? Virginia, you got a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
military down there.
Family Guy up in Rhode Island or whatever that is. Cheers is big in Connecticut. Sure, I can see that. Golden Girls in Florida? That's too funny.
Wow.
Walking Dead in Georgia? What's Any Day Now?
Good question.
I don't know that show. That's Alabama. Walker, Texas Ranger is it? And what do we got over in the West Coast?
Losing you on the mic a little bit. West Coast.
You're losing me on mic?
Yeah, you just gotta eat the mic. a little.
Check.
Yeah, you're good. You just gotta keep it quick.
Breaking Bad in Arizona, in New Mexico makes perfect sense. Keep going west. Medium. What's medium?
About a medium, like a.
Oh, and she can like see crimes. That's
Yeah.
stupid and gay. The Brady Bunch? Are they going back like 100 years or 50 years? I mean, Happy Days and the Brady Bunch haven't been on in ever. Bonanza in Nevada. That's funny.
Are these just supposed to be funny?
Yeah, Northern Exposure, Hawaii Five-0.
I mean, they do have a lot of northern exposure.
I like the show New York, New York, here in New York. Mary Tyler Moore is in Minnesota. All right, next. Wealthiest Americans by state. Huh. I'm surprised Texas isn't doing well. Wait, is red rich or poor?
There's on the bottom right there. There's a thing. So red
No, I
is
can't read it.
millions, and blue is billions, and then the whiter is closer to the middle of the two.
Holy shit. So our richest areas are California and Nebraska and then New York and Kansas. Kansas is doing pretty good. I'm surprised Florida's not doing better with all those rich people retiring down there, and I'm surprised Texas is doing so shitty. Blue is richer, right?
Yeah.
So wait a minute, the richest place in America is fucking Nebraska? What the hell?
Oh, the wealthiest person there is Bill Gates. So is it like
Oh, Bill Gates fucks up the whole median, that's what it is.
wealthiest Americans and
And he
where do
probably
they live?
shows that. No, Bill Gates is in Washington.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Warren Buffett is in about, and oh wait, oh I get it. So they just took a wealthy dude and stuck him in a state. It's no comment on the populace.
right.
So Nebraska could be completely broke, but it would be doing well because there's a billionaire there. That's a dumb chart. Go fuck yourself, chart.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself, chart.
Attitude of population toward foreign visitors. Canada likes them. America's lukewarm. Russia's like, what are you doing? Wait, less welcoming. Yeah. It's funny Russia doesn't want immigrants. You should take whatever you can get. And then, what do we have over in Europe there? It looks like Spain is good, but especially Portugal. Do you know where Spain and Portugal are, Ryan?
I know where Spain is.
Okay,
Portugal.
we'll zoom in on Europe. Do you know where Europe is? Looks like a deer jumping over the road in the final video.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Portugal's pretty happy to get whoever they want. And Ireland is real welcoming, too. Huh. All right, next. Up here. Let's be less welcoming.
Oh wait, this is just
This is a map of places that are in the world.
the world.
Did you know that Yemen is in Yemen? Are we done?
Nope. Gotta just zoom out. This is internet browser.
Boring, next.
All right. This is
Places that are hairy?
inverted land and sea.
Boring. What a dumb map.
Very weird. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, what if, like, North America was... What's this?
This is driving orientation in different countries.
So we're all on the right side of the road, but a few freaks. Driving in Britain is a trip. I've done it a few times, including on our honeymoon. It takes you a while to get used to it, especially when the fast lane is on the right, most right lane is the fast lane.
What happens when you just cross the border into that town?
You better be a good driver.
Yeah. That's
You can
awesome.
see a bunch of British colonies there in the
Oh,
Caribbean.
yeah, yeah.
And that's India? Oh, that's because of Britain.
Prevalence of obesity.
Oh, look at that. See, this is the takeaway from COVID. The takeaway from COVID is that we have a severe obesity epidemic in this country. Look at that. America's totally unique. Dude, you got to take pictures, Ryan, when you go to Disneyland this summer.
Sure, sure.
We need to see this because I was shocked by how many disgusting fat pigs are riding rascals. And I didn't have the courage to do this, but I wanted to go up and go, hey, I noticed you're my father has spina bifida. He's in a rascal too. What's your handicap? And they go, oh, nothing. I'm just lazy. Yeah, gross.
I'm LARPing as a Wally, an extra in Wally.
Next. Wally. That whole movie was just about fucking litter bugs. What do we got here?
Again,
Places I like to hang?
yeah.
What is this?
I'll tell you in a second. Oh, here we go. Countries that don't use the metric system.
Boring, but interesting. If that's
Boring but
possible.
interesting. Yeah.
All right, I'm getting bored of this segment. Do we have any more juicy maps like biggest tits?
This is.
I don't care about that
lightning
map, whatever it is.
intensity.
You can suck my dick.
Okay. What? Okay.
Places with mantis shrimp.
That's correct.
Okay, you're not helping, Ryan. Let's get back to work.
I've been going to Nolans, for my entire adult life. I really like it there. I always thought I'd move there, but the humidity is not for a Scottish person. We're not cut out for that. We panic. If you want to know what it's like to be a Scottish person in the summer, put on a snowmobile suit right now, run around the block as fast as you can, and then drink a pint of warm vodka and eat a Mars bar. That's how we feel in the heat. Claustrophobic, drunk and scared. But I still like to go there. I had friends, I don't know if they're still my friends, who had a bar down there, Rio and a guy I called Snakeface, Ryan. They had this great bar. The fuck was the name of it? I forgot already. Magicians or something? The guy Howard, you know that annoying comedian who had a sitcom, and he's Howie something? He's a judge. No, fuckface. He's a judge, and he did Night Court. He was the judge in Night Court. And Harry something, and he was also a magician, and he bought it. But anyway, what? I think so, Harry Knight, sure. They did this cool thing where if they didn't like kids putting graffiti on the walls, so if they caught them, they take them to the back room and they go, you have a choice here. We can call the cops and you can deal with that graffiti charge, or I'm just going to smash your hand with a hammer. Which I think they got from the movie Casino. But about half the time the kids would choose Harry Anderson. Oh, he's dead. About half the time the kids would choose the hammer, and the other half they'd say call the cops. I like that kind of justice, don't you? Saves paperwork. Anyway, I went there a lot. There was this bartender once. She was wearing a Kiss t-shirt, and I was there alone on business. This was probably late 90s, and I managed to seduce her. There's certain cities where I'm not ugly. New York's not one of them, but Glasgow, Scotland, I do okay, and New Orleans, I do pretty good. I wonder why that is. Maybe they're used to like white trash hillbilly, because hillbillies are Scots Irish at the end of the day. So if there's a lot of those, I can do okay. Canada, I do well. Not New York. Not a lot of horny broads when the G-Dog walks in the room. Anyway, I managed to pick her up and take her home. She was fat as shit, I should mention. So it's strange that I'm bragging about how sexy I am in the town when my example is the time I brought home a 3.7. But the beauty of a 3.7, and every man should have one under his belt, especially if he just broke up with a girl. I get a lot of people asking, what should I do? I thought I was going to marry her, and she broke up with me, and I don't know what to do with my life. I go, fuck some fives. Get some momentum going again. So I just wanted to practice on an easy course. It was like going to the driving range instead of playing a game of golf. And we went back to her place, and she was wearing flip-flops, and I remember being really turned off by the bottom of her feet, which were as black as if she had walked on black paint. Just fucking filthy. That's why flip-flops are so disgusting, especially in a shitty, dirty town like New Orleans or New York City. But she had that bedroom that girls have, especially fat, lazy girls, where their sense of decor is just really corny. Like she had some Salvador Dali melting clocks painting, which is a print on canvas, of course. It's not a real Dali. And then they always have a weird frame. They're too stupid and lame to have their paintings framed, and it's too expensive. So they do it themselves, and they'll have like barbed wire, like plastic barbed wire going around the edge, or some sort of plastic flowery vine going on the edge of this shitty painting. So that was at the head of the bed, and I was just like, yeah. And then another thing that women have, besides, by the way, besides a massive pile of laundry on the ground and a massive pile of dishes and nothing in the fridge. That's modern women. That's what feminism has done to women. But another thing that particularly corny, tacky girls will have is just a Greek column. Just in the room. Sometimes there's something on it, like flowers. Sometimes not. Sometimes it's just a Greek column. It's the kind of thing you do when you first move out of your house and you're like, I need stuff in the house. It's so empty, my new apartment. So they go shopping at Michael's or something, and then there's a Greek column. They go, that would be nice in the room. So we start horsing around, and I was doing a lot of nose beers, and we were wasted. And anything goes with the 3.7. I think I may have sat on her face. I don't really remember. But it was that level of just like a blow-up doll. Like, whatever you could think, you could do. And you come up with new things. Try this on me. Barf on me. Put an ice cube up my ass. I don't know, pull my eyelashes. Let's try everything I've never thought of. And I fucked her 8 times. 4 before bed, 4 the next day, lying around in bed all day. 4 to fruition, I'm talking about. And the interesting thing about semen is the first time, and we watched it like, you're fucking horny like that, you bitch. Slapping, pulling, fighting. We totaled the bedroom. It looked like the FBI was looking for this much fentanyl in her bedroom. The Greek column was knocked over. I think it broke in 2. Fall of Rome. And the first jizz was all over her face. And I was like, you like that, you fucking whore? She's like, yeah, fucking, I'm your whore. And then the second one was like, yeah, get that. Oh, yeah, come all over me. I love it. Yeah. And then the third one was like, yeah, you come on my tits this time. And the face every single time. And the fourth time was like, all right, yeah, you come, yeah, you like that, yeah. And the next day it was like, we're up to number 5 now. She's like, okay, 6, 7. The 8th was amazing. The 8th was just her staring, lying on her side, looking out the window, and my ejaculate was just beach foam. You know when you go to the ocean?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tim Dillon Show from the Gas Digital Studio in New York City, the original home of the show that you are now watching. Ben Avery is with us. The economy is tanking. I feel silly that I spent $50,000 on the sunglasses that you're looking at right now. $50,000. I feel stupid about that. There is a diamond in the middle of them. $50,000. These sunglasses once belonged to Dodi Al-Fayed. Do you know who Dodi Al-Fayed is?
I have to look this up.
Look up Dodi Al-Fayed. These were his sunglasses. R.I.P. R.I.P. Who was he for the retards in the audience that don't know anything?
Egyptian film producer and the son of billionaire Mohammed Al-Fayed.
How did he die?
He was the romantic partner of Diana, Princess of Wales, when
That's
they both
correct.
died in a car crash in Paris,
And
France.
the sunglasses were taken off his head. They were sent to an auction house. And I have them now. That's what doing well means. That's what doing well means. And I don't apologize for it. But, of course, it's Pride Month. We're here. Ben's queer. Get used to it. Lil Nas X is angry that he was not nominated for a BET award. Neither was I. Lil Nas X. He's saying that it's homophobic. That's what his contention is. He's saying that the BET Awards is homophobic and that it has prevented him from, that has prevented him from being nominated.
Yeah, 0 nominations.
0 nominations for Lil Nas, who, in fairness to BET, which is homophobic, but in fairness to them, he is a horrible musician. So you have a very strange thing there, where you have a horrible musician. He's a meme musician, right? He's not good.
Right.
The whole point is that it's so bad, it's kind of good. It's like a joke. And BET, that probably doesn't like him, because he goes really hard with his sexualized lyrics, as he should be able to do. As a gay guy, he should be able to say anything he wants, sell shoes with blood in them, you know, whatever he does.
What does he do? Doesn't he do like really wild?
Yeah, he does. These things are spectacles, so he puts blood in a shoe, like in the.
But I mean, with the sex stuff, isn't he like, I'll eat your ass?
Yeah, he'll do music videos too, where like he's having sex with the devil and stuff like that.
That's right. Bobby, did you have something?
That was a drop.
Oh, is that just a drop? If you have something, play it.
No, I was just going through his videos now.
Oh,
I had the wrong audio up.
No,
that's
okay.
all right. Well, we feel bad for him because I think he should be able to fuck the devil and be rewarded. What kind of society do we live in?
Inherit the Dragon Knight's
Where
and lay waste
you can make millions of dollars simulating sex with the devil, but are not rewarded for it by BET. Do you want to live in that society? Do you want to live in a society where your only reward for having sex with Satan is millions and millions and millions of dollars and fame, and not a statue given to you by BET to confer legitimacy on whatever it is that you're doing? But we feel bad for Lil Nas X, but we feel worse for the people. I just remember these sunglasses cost $70,000. I remember that now. These are $70,000 I had to pay for these. Tell us about this economy, because it is one of the worst we've ever seen, and people are going to probably, I mean, I don't even know. I can't even speculate how bad it's going to get.
So the Dow right now is
sex work. I mean, Doug Stanhope had that great bit, strengthen up your shit pussy. Go Google that. But sex work's not even going to cut it, really, in this economy. Like, I don't know what you're going to be able to do. Selling your children to a human trafficker in the Philippines ain't going to do it. Robbing elderly people of medication and reselling it on the dark web ain't gonna do it. It's the type of economy where the most horrible things that you can think about, the lengths that you would push yourself, the things that you could never even imagine justifying, but on some level you know that if you had to, eating a person, whatever it is, whatever your line is, going well over that line just to survive, the things that you know that you might in some horror, hell world, end game, apocalypse have to do, won't even cut it in this economy. It won't help. It won't help. The allowances that you make morally to steal, to cheat, to take advantage of others, to manipulate, to engage in outright acts of violence, intimidation, betrayal against friends, against family. The lies that you will tell not only yourself but those close to you. The things that you in the dark recesses of your mind know that you could only do with your back against the wall and a gun to your mother's head will not suffice. In this economy, it won't suffice. It's going to be a whole new game plan, because everything that you're prepared to do, even things that you're not prepared to do, it's going to get so bad out there that I can't even describe how bad it will get. In fact, I can't even begin to fathom. Every film about things that are bad cannot even get close to what they predict is coming. Breadlines will be quaint, cute. You will wish you were on a breadline. When this hits, and it's gonna hit, and this is, by the way, every YouTuber in the financial space, but when this hits, you will wish you were on a breadline. You will pray to God that you could just stand peacefully on a line without the threat of murder to get a nice loaf of warm bread. It will not happen. It will be a minute-to-minute, scratch that, second-by-second test of your wits and your ability to survive. And the only thing that might help you in such a time is my newsletter, which you can subscribe to, and we email you once a week. Not annoying, no promote, just my newsletter is the only thing that might help you out, where we give you all the up-to-date information. No, but tell us how bad it's going to get, because Bitcoin is now under $20,000. Bitcoin, the thing that was here to save us, is now under $20,000.
18,900.
18,000. And you know what's coming next? The house. The house is coming. Meaning, people, people think that they're safe with their money in a fucking house. Well, that's coming next, the housing collapse. But tell us, Bitcoin is where?
18,900.
$18,000.
I'm looking at the graph. It hasn't been here since December 11, 2020.
That's right.
Yeah. And then the Dow is basically right where it was at pre-pandemic. So it collapsed, it rose, and now it's back to where it was in January of 2020, right before everything went to shit.
Well, there were some ill-gotten gains. And, I don't know what to tell everybody. Unfortunately, there's a big correction there, driving the market into... Pull up what Mike Novogratz said here about the economy and how they're going to combat inflation. They're going to drive the economy into a recession. It's a minute 24-second clip. And I should have sent it to you last night, but I like seeing you struggle.
I'm sitting at Bobby.
But this clip kind of explains what's going on. The rate hikes, they're making you pay to borrow money now. They're making you pay for it. And when the interest rates go up, the party goes down. And Mike Novogratz is the CEO of something or other. You know these people. They're always the CEO of, I don't know, Poseidon Capital, whatever it is. Mike Novogratz basically says Jerome Powell at the Fed has decided to push the economy into a recession to combat inflation, which is probably the only way to do it. That is what people are now kind of waking up to, that there's not going to be a soft landing. They were using the term soft landing, where you get to keep your house. They've decided that's not possible. You cannot have a soft landing. What you will have now is the hardest of landing, like hitting water from thousands of feet, a smack to the concrete. It will feel like you fell off your bike in front of all of your boys in 6th grade, like I did, and you will get rocks in your elbows like I did, and permanent scars because your parents don't care about you and they don't take you to a plastic surgeon. It will feel like that wind getting knocked out of you, hitting the concrete in front of everyone you know, pain but also embarrassment, shock but also disgust, with a little bit of disgrace. That is what they've decided. Do we have the clip up? It's 9 minutes of vamping. Do we have the clip? Great. Let's play this clip, because I do believe this man is entirely correct. Soft landing is out. Brutal, vicious, like 9/11 guy who jumps out of the towers, the way he landed, that's the way this economy is going to land. I feel like an idiot spending $80,000 on these sunglasses.
And you want the one on Bloomberg, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, Bloomberg Technology. I just emailed it to you, Bobby. It's 11
We
minutes.
should do a show where it's just at the hour of getting the clips, where we just cut from getting the clip to the clip. Because between him and Bobby, we could do a show of this, and we have 60 minutes of the show of just finding the clips, because that's the real fun. Thank you.
listen, you have to hold crypto in context of what's going on macro, right? And we talked about there were going to be headwinds this year because the Fed was going to have to withdraw liquidity. And so assets that went up based on cheap money forever, if they're...
This is not the clip, but that's okay. The clip is the economy is going to fail very quickly. Mike Novogratz. I can't wait till podcasting's over. It's going to be over in about 6 months because all of these people are going to live on the street, including him right next to me. They're all going to live on the street. Podcasting is quickly coming to an end. Imagine the money they've made. You think I've made money? I have talent. Imagine the money that has been made by podcast producers over the last few years. If you knew what these people made, you would be enraged. Like Chris Rock had a great line. He said, if Americans knew how rich people were, they would never stop rioting. If you knew how much podcast producers made, you would go to their houses and kill their families. But Bobby, thank you. That was the correct clip. 6 more months.
I need to ask you a question that we're getting from a customer, from a terminal customer. We want to know from you, why would you use a 200-day moving average here after the Fed funds went up 25 basis points for 730 days before the rate hiking cycle started? So how do you kind of recalibrate here with the 75 basis point hike? How do you recalibrate given that we're in a new paradigm?
Listen, I think what the Fed said really clearly was, and we've been talking about this for a while, when you have inflation as strong as we've had, you need to put the economy in a recession to stop inflation. And what Chairman Powell said yesterday very clearly is, I will put the economy in a recession to stop inflation. Even though I have a dual mandate and I talk cheeky about trying to get a soft landing, guys who have done this for a long time realize a soft landing isn't possible. And so the economy is going to go into a recession. It's going to go into a recession fast. You saw housing starts today, they collapsed. You're going to see the economy just screech to a halt. That's what the Fed needs to do to get inflation down. And so we're going to go through this awkward period where growth is going to be rolling over and inflation is still going to stay stubborn before it rolls. When the Fed sees it rolling and they signal the pause, then you'll see crypto take off, you'll see other assets fall.
Okay, so that is what. Now, do you understand, Ben, what he means there?
No, I don't understand finance or the economy.
Ben, see, you're being wise. You're trying to be a wise guy.
I really don't.
You're trying to be a wise guy. But the reality, I understand what he means. And what he's saying right now is that there's only one course of action that we have, and it's to take people like you and your family and make them feel pain. To make them feel a lot of pain. That's what he means. What he means is that avert your eyes, because people like you and people that grew up in places like you did are going to have to feel pain now. Not so much people like me, people that can pink their skin on the tropical beaches and be buttered like soft rolls with Coppertone sunscreen. Not people like us, but people like you, dirt people. People that go from town to town like modern day gypsies trying to find bags of wheat. You're going to have to feel it, the pain. I mean, and is it right? I don't know. But it's happening. Look, we're all adults here, and I know some of us choose to use nicotine to relax, focus, or unwind after a long day. Lucy is a modern oral nicotine company that makes nicotine gum, lozenges, and pouches for adults who are looking for the best, most responsible way to consume their nicotine. It's a new year. Why not start out by switching to a new nicotine product that you can feel good about? I have not had a cigarette for 12 days because of Lucy. I also had bronchitis, but it's Lucy. If you enjoy using nicotine, you should definitely check out Lucy's products at lucy.co. That's lucy.co. And use promo code TIM at checkout. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Remember, if you're interested in a better way to use nicotine, visit lucy.co and be sure to use the promo code TIM. Yes!
I would just like to add that I used Lucy and I stopped smoking as well, but I actually did. It actually worked, so. Lucy.co, code Tim.
Steve will do it as a good friend of the show. You know Steve. Steve is a guy that is a member of the Nelk Boys sketch, prank, comedy group, but he's much more than that. He's a gambler. He's a drinker. He is a national figure. He is someone who inspires people. He gives kids with cancer Ethereum. He gives homeless people booze. He helps. He helps people. Steve will do it as a guy who will go and teach people how to gamble using a crypto and a VPN. He's a man that says life is to be lived to the fullest, even if it has to be from a small private island where there are no laws. Steve will do it. Will do it. He will do it. No matter what it is. Yes, is Steve eventually going to die in a high-profile automobile accident in Miami? To be sure. To be sure. Will he crash through the lobby of a hotel? Yes. Will it be a helicopter accident? Sure. Will he maybe die in a third world country where he's living with a villa and multiple wives, sort of like Apocalypse Now, Colonel Kurt style? Yes. Is the future of Steve will do its life sort of terrifying? Yes. But very interesting. Like, is he going? First of all, at this point, is a guy like that? What's left to do in America?
Right.
So, correct. So much like Joe Rogan, where Joe Rogan has gone to colonize Austin, Texas, the crown jewel, Steve will do it. I believe will eventually flee this country and establish some third world fiefdom, where he will lord over like some type of savior, convincing the natives that he has powers ordained from God. And it will be wild to watch. It will be amazing. Think of every cult documentary you've ever seen, plus Bitcoin. And we love Steve will do it, and we want to plug his YouTube channel. What, right?
Yeah,
right? Isn't that what we're doing?
It's one word. Steve will do it, and he also has a second channel you can follow where he gambles on there, and it's fun.
And what's fun about him is that whenever he's going to have this wild life, and then whenever it ends, it's going to be so bad and amazingly, phenomenally bad what he'll end up doing. Like, he may cause a war. It's going to be so visceral and crazy to watch. But it up until that moment, it is going to be incredibly entertaining. It is going to be so entertaining. He gives AR-15s to lonely men out there that need them. He is the guy that America needs. He's the guy that America needs. He gave the Nelk Metacard to the one Uvalde cop who went in. The rest of them, of course, were busy. What are you? Housing is bad. It's brutal, vicious. Get up the housing numbers. Housing starts are down. People are not applying for mortgages. Well over 40% of the mortgage market, like people in the market for loans, has collapsed. House building has fallen to the lowest level in decades. Housing start. People are not buying homes. People are terrified. Rates are up over 6%. They cannot afford houses. So many of them cannot afford houses that the Los Angeles homeless population, which is right now about 40,000 people, I imagine within 2 years will be 3-4 million people. And my attitude now about it, because Rick Caruso lost, the guy who's saying, I want to get rid of homelessness. People said, no. No, you don't. No, you don't. His campaign was, let's put homeless people in affordable housing. I'm not going to say the other thing satirically that I said last episode, which got me age-gated. Explain very quickly what happened.
With Caruso?
No, with the last episode.
Oh, yeah, so it's age-gated. I tried to talk to YouTube about this. The last episode...
I mean, it's like talking to a drunk. Have you ever spoke to a drunk?
So, YouTube declared that the last episode is only available to someone with a YouTube account that is verified they are 18 years or older. Now, I tried to appeal
The
this.
majority of our fans are 7 years old. That is who this show connects with, the children.
So, I tried to appeal this. They knocked it down. Then we talked to YouTube. We finally got through. We said, this is satire. You don't actually want to boil homeless people in a pot.
It's a satirical show.
They said, we understand that it is comedy and it is satire, but it is still satire that is not appropriate for someone under the age of 18.
Well, then nothing is. Well, then nothing's appropriate. So, we lost.
We lost, yeah. That was
Spotify, it's the time for you to get in the game with me now. You need to get in the game right now. The pussy is wet. Spotify, come to me and give me money, and I will join you. Come to me now. Let's stop this pussyfooting around. Stop telling me you're not interested. Stop refusing to give me money. Stop saying we're going woke. The guy that made the Rogan deal, we pushed him out of the company, and we hired some woman who's trying to do a project with the Stars of Friends. No one gives a shit what the Stars of Friends have to say about the world, okay? Stop making celebrities do podcasts. I'm sure Jason Bateman is a swell guy. No one wants to know what he